with, I'm going to take one of these out so I can hear. Start with anybody who has a question that they're dying to ask. And Bill, do I need to do anything to control that? They can just unmute themselves?
Yeah, everybody can either unmute yourselves or raise your hand. I'm still sitting here in the background so I can see that raised hand.
Great.
So maybe I'll give you an indicator.
Thank you. Okay, anybody have something they want to start off with? Okay, well, if nobody has anything to start off with, I will say I've had 5 or 6 different emails from different signing companies, my airlines, several other places about safety when you are out and about, traveling to appointments, dealing with your customers. A lot of it is we've already heard, which is sanitize your pens and wipe down your book and your electronics. Make sure you're using a sanitizer before and after appointments. You might want to not shake hands if that's just not good for you. You're not comfortable doing that, then sanitize when you get out of your car and sanitize when you get back in your car if you touch somebody's hands when you go to these appointments. AMROC, Signature Closers, and several others are sending out information to their signing agents about this because, of course, they start losing us. Nothing's going to happen if we can't have anybody at the table notarizing documents. So if you haven't received one yet, just know that you want to take some extra precautions. If your client says, I'm sick, I wouldn't go to their home. I would say, we need to reschedule this appointment. So I just want to make sure other people are getting that communication, as well. Okay. Now, anybody else?
Mark has a question in the chat window. He says, what's the current paradigm when it comes to handling I-9s? I know it's not a notarial activity. The question is, for Texas or any other state prohibit it?
There are 2 states that prohibit it at this time. Of course, California, along with everything else we prohibit, we do not allow notaries unless you're also a bonded immigration specialist. If you have that certification, then you can do an I-9. But if you do not have that certification, you may not help prepare, which is that section 2 of an I-9 form. There is one other one. I want to say it's Texas, but I'd have to look up to confirm who that other does not allow. That also does not allow for I-9s. 48 states do. You're not notarizing anything. You're just acting as an authorized representative, and you're filling out section 2 with the IDs. And since you're not notarizing it's not regulated as in terms of you're regulated for notarizations. So I hope that answers your question.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right. Anybody else?
Matt has a follow-up question to what you were just talking about, I think. It says is that something California notaries would like to change?
Yeah, I used to do them all the time. But the Secretary of State's office interpreted that because it's an I-9, I standing for immigration, and it's on the USCIS website with other immigration documents, their interpretation is that it's an immigration form, so therefore you need to have that. And nobody's been able to get them to change their mind. I would love it if it changed. I get calls every day for it, and I have to refer them. I have a referral list of bonded immigration consultants who, by the way, aren't notaries, because in California, there's a bunch of other issues about that. So I send them off to those people.
Matt, sounds like you have another project. And then Sherry Tizono has her hand up. Sherry, would you like to unmute?
Yes, hello. I just buzzed in here, and I got a call from out of Oregon this morning to do 2 I-9s in my area. And they assured me that I did not have to notarize anything. So I'm not familiar with these. Do I need to call the state to find out if I can, in fact, just like watch over these as they fill out the form?
So 2 things. One is, Sherry, that Oregon is fine to handle them. 2 is they're not notarized. There's a section 2 that the notary would fill out which you're acting as an authorized representative of the company by verifying the IDs that are being presented and recorded on the form.
Okay, so I would be okay to do this then?
Yeah, you'd be fine.
Okay, okay. All right. That's what I needed to know.
Great
Thank you
question.
very
Great
much.
clarity. Yeah, thank you, Sherry. Great question. Kim says, in Arizona, it is recommended, not required, to have a signing agent certification. Do you suggest getting certified, Laura?
Well,
Oh,
do you
Carol's
want to
on here
have
too.
business? Yeah, where
Yeah.
is Carol?
Is Carol,
Is
are
Carol
you
hiding?
here available yet?
Carol?
I think she
Well,
was caught
while
on a
we're
long
looking for
call.
her, just know that it is not required in any state by law. There's federal regulations that are required by the lenders and the title companies, and in their effort to comply with the people who are touching any of their clients' information, that's where it comes from. And so that's the first part. So yes, if you don't have a certification, can you notarize loan documents? Legally, you can, but if you don't want it to happen accidentally, you want to make it your business, you need to get certified, because why would they hire you if you have no training, nothing from an authorized or recognized authority that says you know what you're doing. So absolutely, it is recommended if you want this to be your business.
I had a couple of years ago an instance with Verify I-9, which was a brand new company then. And my students started to call and say, is this a scam? Because he was sending emails out to my graduates asking if they would be service representatives for their area. And so I called him to check it out. And as it turned out, it was very legitimate. He was new in the business, fairly new, and he found it helpful to hire our graduates, which he has done over the past couple of years, pays him a lot more money than a couple of other companies that are out there. But sometimes you get really lucky and they'll have a new, like in, what is it? The New Mexico, they have the Indian reservations there. And one of my graduates was lucky because they were starting a pharmaceutical company on the reservation. And they had a couple hundred employees that were needing to have I-9s checked. And she just went down there a couple of days and I think she made about $1,500 just sitting there doing I-9s, because they only take like 10 or 15 minutes. But I'm very sad they can't take them in California,
Yeah, me too.
because there's a lot of business here.
You bet. Is there
All
another
right, we have
question?
Hank, if you'd like to unmute and ask your question, go right ahead.
Hello, everyone. Got a question for you. This will be my second year as far as E&O insurance. It expires April 15th, and I got it from the NNA. Is 1 month good, or 2 weeks, or does it matter before I renew?
For your certification?
For the E&O.
Well, the E&O is added on to the end of whatever it is you already have, if you already have E&O, and probably don't need to do it any sooner than within the 30 days of it coming up.
Okay, so
But you
April
won't lose
15th.
any time.
Right, that's what that was my point.
Yeah.
Would I lose any time?
No.
Okay, now I had 25,000. Is it 50,000 or 25 still good for just loan signing?
Well, there's a couple things you should know about errors and omissions insurance. As in any insurance, it's there to protect me just in case something happened and I end up being sued. So in the loan signing world, a typical number is 100,000. Why? Because title companies tend to want that level minimum to work with them directly. And so you'll find most of the title escrow companies are going to ask for that. Very few ask for more, but there are a couple. I think Provident might be one, that is like 500,000. For those of us who work under signing service umbrellas, they carry like 1 million or more, and the 100 is just fine, but it can even be as low as 25, and that would be fine. You know, whether it's 25 or whether it's 100, in my estimation, doesn't matter when you're dealing with a $500,000 home anyways. What matters is that you do a good job up front, that you're not relying on that to protect you, that you're relying on your skill to protect you. And that's it, just in case. If you want to work with title companies, I do recommend the 100,000 level directly. If you're going to stay with signing services or just do general mobile notary, the 25 would be fine.
Thank
Carol,
you.
do you have anything to add to that?
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. 25,000. A lot of my students don't have a lot of money to start with. And so I always tell them, you can start with 25,000. That is the minimum that most signing services require. But we have that some title companies on our list, and I know for a fact that they require 100. And I tell them, be prepared when you call and they tell you that you have to have the 100,000. I'm prepared. I'm going to do it. I'll do it tonight. If you're going to give me work, I'll do it tonight.
Yeah, right now. And you can always, if you got your E&O from the NNA, let's say, you can always upgrade it. They'll credit you the difference and issue a new policy at a higher level, number one. Number two, also remember that E&O insurance, this kind of E&O insurance, is specific to notarial acts, which means if you make other kinds of errors outside of the notarial act, that's not what this is going to cover. You would need a different kind of policy for that. This would be, you made a mistake, it was on the notarized document where you'd made the mistake. That's where it's going to help you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Hank. All right. Annette is in Eastern Long Island. She's wondering if it's really slow right now. She's only doing about one signing a week. Anybody else having experience of that?
Holy smokes. I can't keep up with the workload. It is so busy out here. I don't know what's going on in Rhode Island. I don't know if it's slow somewhere else, but it is not slow here.
Carol, have you noticed any trends on your end?
No, not at all. Everybody's really, really busy. Maybe she needs to stretch herself and market herself a little bit more, get it out there and spend some more time on the phone and on a computer.
Yeah, I think that's a real important. I mean, it's not always just about location. It's about everything else, Annette, that you're putting behind your business. So it's really difficult to say, it depends on how many signing companies you signed up with. It depends on what business model you're going with. There's so many variables in there. But what I will offer you is right now we're just experiencing the absolute record lowest interest rates that you'll probably ever see in your lifetime. And it has spurred a refinance boom and a purchase boom. And there is plenty of work out here for sure. So stick with it. And I want to kind of tag team Laura. You had answered the question about the certification.
Oh, right.
And even beyond the certification, I'm not a big fan of certifications. I know a lot of it's just BS sometimes. And sometimes I feel like that's that way with our loan signing certification because it doesn't really teach us exactly what to do every day. But education is important, guys. If you're on this call, please get training. Even if it's from Carol, Laura, me, someone else, please get the training and up your game so you have the system and the support in place to know which signing companies to go to know about services like Carrie Rivera's and Notary Reviews, to just get dialed in on your business. Tap into this. We've been talking about this for years now, building up for this moment right now. It's a good time to be in the business. All right, I'll shut up now.
Well, I just want to add, I saw the comment from Carlette that even the mortgage companies are so busy, they don't have enough people to take care of the applications. And I think it's going to grow because of the interest rates being cut. And remember, it takes a little time. Just because they cut the federal rates doesn't mean we see it the next day in the housing industry. It takes a little time for it to hit us.
Yeah, exactly. Because we have the processing time. The other thing too, which is really interesting, and I just found this out this morning, there are some title companies who are heavily focused on purchases that are refusing refinance They're
Yeah.
just telling people they're telling their lenders we're not interested. They don't make any money on refinances, just so you know. Like they're super competitive on the escrow fees. So title companies are turning them away because there's too many purchases coming in.
Right.
So there's other title companies that are stepping up to get that business too, because the volume's super high there. And refis are great for us.
Yeah, they are.
Sharon Brake, sorry. Would you like to unmute and ask your question?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yep.
Sure can.
Oh, okay. Hi. My question is, I'm new. I'm waiting for my commission, and I'm currently enrolled in Notary to Pro. Hi, Carol. We spoke yesterday briefly.
Hi, Sharon.
My question is just in terms of general notary work, being new as a notary, I'm not quite sure for signing companies, do you get general notary work, or is it a specific type of notarizations that come through a signing company?
Well, most signing companies out there are heavily loan signing work, real estate work. It doesn't mean that you wouldn't get a trust through them, or you might get just a deed by itself through them. You could even get some general documents through them, but it's not where they focus. Their focus is really on the real estate loan signing world.
I see. Okay, so if I'm interested in doing general notary work in addition to loan signings, what would be the best way for me to, get that all-encompassing training? I think, that's exactly what I want to do. In addition to loan signings, is have these other capabilities.
Didn't I tell you to go to Laura?
Okay, go to Laura's site for that. Okay.
Yeah, we talked about the page that she has and all of the things that she has, the trusts and the wills and all the things that she would. It was you, right? That I
Yes,
was
we
talking
talked.
to yesterday.
Right. Okay. Yes. All right. I missed that part about it would be
Oh,
under Laura.
don't miss that part. It's very important.
Okay. All right. Very good. Well, thank you for your time and answering that question. I appreciate it.
You're welcome, Sharon.
Excellent. Yeah, just so you guys know, you can go to coachmelora.com and you can get access to that Laura Buer Presents replay library, or notarycoach.com/LBP. They both take you to the same place and you can get that.
Well, actually, she can go to, once she gets to be a graduate, she can go to our graduates website where we have graduates teaching graduates things, and she gets a special discount as a graduate to go to Laura. Right, Laura?
Mm-hmm.
Carol, this is Sue Cope. I have a question about that.
Sure.
I'm a graduate, but I didn't upgrade to keep the graduate website.
There's no charge. There's no charge for that. It's free always.
Oh. Okay. Yeah, because that was on my budget for next pay period.
Oh, no,
the
that's
general
free.
notary.
That's free to you as a graduate.
Oh, okay.
We work hard on that graduates website.
Oh, I know you do, but I didn't know. I thought since I had graduated a while back, I'd gone past my time.
No, I have graduates from 10 years ago that still utilize that graduate site.
Oh, okay. I will do that then. Thanks.
Okay.
I see a question from Mark about auto dealerships using notaries to handle notary work. And I'll tell you two ways that I get auto signing work. Of course, one is there's a signing service out there called Maverick, and I do a lot of work for them regarding people who buy automobiles on the internet, and they happen to live in my area, but they're buying them in Arizona and other states. The other way I get it are a lot of these small independent car dealerships, and they're doing, what's it called for the DMV, a duplicate title or a lien release. And I get a lot of those appointments for these little tiny car dealerships, the big new, Toyota, those ones. I get called on occasion, but they tend to have a notary on site there.
Excellent. We
Oh,
have a
car
private
shows.
question
Somebody
here
talked
from,
about car shows, Betty. I haven't thought about a car show.
I'll just chime in here. I want to share some strategies with their permission. There's a few of them now that I've talked to on coaching calls for autos who are contacting people who are selling cars on Craigslist, and they're just being proactive in introducing and building a relationship. So when that car finally sells, they are the go-to notary for those auto sales.
That's great.
In private question coming in, what primary accounting system do you suggest to use? QuickBooks, SnapDocs, Notary Gadget, or Notary Assist?
Notary
Notary
Assist is what I
Assist.
use.
Yeah, Notary Assist, Notary Gadget. I mean, it's like 49 and 51%, just depending on the day, between what people are using.
Well, Laura and I like the personal relationship that we have with Notary Assist.
I love Sue.
Yeah, thanks for saying that, Carol, because that's what I wanted to say is I use different products just as we are trying to build relationships with people to be their go-to notary. So I have relationships with other people who provide me service. And Notary Assist is one of those where I have a personal relationship with the owner of that company. And I think that when we think about where we put our own money and why we spend our money, what makes me want to spend my money with Sue's company instead of Notary Gadget when they both offer a similar kind of product. And really, it's the relationship I have with her. So remember, just as how we have relationships with the people we spend our money with, that's what we want to be thinking about when we're trying to build new relationships with others.
Can you see this? How come we can't see you, Bill? Where are you?
I'm sick today, really sick. So I'm just in the background.
I'm sorry.
Hello?
Hi, Victoria.
Oh, hey, I'm sorry. I was listening. I'm actually driving. I was listening to the Notary Gadget, Notary Assist. I'm the Notary Gadget one, and I just had to chime in about personal care. He is awesome. Every time I need his help, he is always there. So I'm just putting my plug in for Notary Gadget. I think we are the 51 of the 49 thing that you were saying. We're the 51 percenters.
Yeah,
Excellent service every single time I reach out to him. He is awesome. And it's dummy proof. To me, it's a dummy proof way. I've already got my report printed out. We're going to see our tax guy on Thursday, and everything's good to go. Everything's already there.
Love it.
I've
Thanks for
not heard
studying.
anything bad about Steve.
No,
at
Steve
all. I
Bajorkman.
met him at one point, but
Yeah, he
we
does
all
a
have
really
our
great
choices.
job.
Anyway.
So.
Yeah, guys, and if you want to hear, Steve Bajorkman is the founder of Notary Gadget, and Sue Hope is the founder of Notary Assist, and they've been interviewed and are on YouTube. If you just want to get a ballpark feel for their personality, and then they give you a demonstration of their software at youtube.com/Notary Coach.
And Katie asks, she wanted to do her research, but what are they? What do they do? And Laura and I can attest to the fact that Notary Assist is absolutely invaluable to your business. Keeps track of every customer you have, your contact information, who do you talk to, every signing you do, where do you go, your mileage, your expenses. There's nothing that I can think of that it doesn't do. Creates invoices when you need them. I mean, it's a great program. I used it all those 14 years that I was doing signings, and it's great. And I've heard really good things about Notary Gadget too. Just a matter of choice. But we have an alliance with Sue, and it's important to us. But it's a great program. I suggest it to every single one of my students.
Jim DeVoy, your hand's up. Go ahead.
Hey, everyone. I had a question. When we're, as we add revenue like Metro inspections or Maverick signings, Metro inspections more, do Notary Assist or Notary Gadget allow you to put them in any, I don't know how to word this. I know when I tried out Notary Assist, it was all about the loan signing and everything like that, and I had trouble integrating the Metro inspections. Does anyone know if Notary Gadget allows that customization?
I can't speak to Notary Gadget, but I can say that Notary Assist allows me to identify the type of assignment it is. And I have them grouped by trust work, auto signings, refis, purchases, and so forth. So there is a way to do that.
Oh, great.
Yeah, and Sue is awesome. If you call in,
Yeah.
Jim, she's got an awesome team too, and excellent customer service. I mean, like it's not like a call center. They got like 4 people that work there, and you just call and she answers. It's awesome. Same thing with Steve too.
And Jim, you are a graduate, right?
Yes.
Go to the graduate's website. It's on the merchants page, and you get a discount and first 30 days free.
Oh, all right then. I'll go there right after this. Thanks. Did we freeze?
No.
Oh, okay.
We're looking to see if anybody else has a question.
I have a question. I want to go back to the very beginning when I first came in, and you were talking about what's going on with this terrible virus. Excuse me. And I'm doing something. It's not that virus, but anyway, it's been months. How does everybody feel about, excuse me, about asking when you go to set the appointment right straight out front, are there people ill in your home? And how would you guys go about it? I'm asking everybody.
Yeah.
Everybody's got an opinion. I'm just wondering how they would feel when you call to set the, to set the appointment and everything.
I called a lady this morning. Well, I called her yesterday to set the appointment, and it just came up in the conversation. And I think she was kind of fishing. Are you sick, Jim? I'm fishing. Are you sick? Miss May. So I think people would be okay considering all the hype that's going on about it. I think people would just rather talk about it and say, "Are you sick? If you're sick, we'll do this some other time." So I had no problem bringing it up to her just for her safety, for my safety.
My husband's in the Coast Guard Auxiliary for 20 years, and they always have this event once a year that everyone goes to, and it's actually been canceled this year by the commandant or commander. And because of this, they're just playing it safe. And I think that we all need to put that in the forefront. So I'm thinking that if I were doing signings now, I would want to make sure that people are healthy before I go into their homes and shake their hands and all of that. But you don't want to be rude. Nobody wants to be rude.
That was the weird part for me, because I'm always a handshaker, nice to meet you, stuff like that. But we both just kind of knew, hey, we're not going to shake hands. It's hi, how are you? And it was weird to not put my hand out to shake, yet we both knew exactly why we weren't shaking hands, and it was a respectful thing. It was great.
And let me add to that for general work, because, I do a lot of hospital work. And last week when I went, everything was business as usual. When I went last night, first I had to be screened at the front door of the hospital. I was asked if I'd been out of the country. I was asked if I had certain kinds of symptoms. I was asked if I'd been in contact with anybody who had those kinds of symptoms. That was a security person right there. Then if I passed screening, then I went to another station where I had to check in. They wanted to know who I was seeing. Why was I, not the details of why, but what's my relationship? Why am I going to be visiting them? Before I could get this orange colored badge that cleared me to go up to the floor. And then when I got up to the floor, of course, there's signage everywhere before you walk into that room. Sanitize your hands, garb up. So the hospitals, if you're going to hospitals like I am, just know that they're changing how they're doing business as well to try to protect their patients and protect those coming in to see the patients. And when I have to go to a hospital, I do ask, why are they there? And if they have a communicable type disease, then I say, now's not a good time to have a notary come in.
Mm-hmm.
Federal or state? Federal. How do I do state?
Any other questions?
Anybody have any live questions? We still have a significant amount on the presentation, and we only have Laura for about 15 more minutes, Carol, and then it's really going to be all you. My energy's waning pretty low here. So we'll jump on.
I want to mention,
ahead.
prime time. We're going to have prime time this next Thursday. Today's the 12th at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And if you want to get an invitation, then you can go to notarytopro.com, and on the home page, there's a place to put your email, and we're going to be sending out the invitations this evening. And that's kind of like what we're doing on TNT, but it's aimed at people who are any notaries. They don't have to be, my students, or any notaries who are a little bit more advanced in age and would like to participate in sharing our similarities and the things that how we face our jobs today, being a little bit older than, the younger people. So go to notarytopro.com, homepage, fill in your email address, and we'll send that out.
Thank you. Gina Marie Saris, I saw your hand up. Would you like to unmute? Gina Marie, going once. All right, let's skip up to Chris Norman. Hi, Chris. You want to unmute and ask your question? Chris Norman.
It's just us. Don't be nervous.
Gina Marie, well, back to you. Is this thing on? All right, we'll go to the presentation. We'll come back to you. Hank has another question. Hank, you want to go ahead?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yep, sure can.
Okay. One question I was looking at a form, and it says, actually it was a Patriot Act form, and at the bottom it says authorized agent. I'm assuming we can sign off on authorized agent for a Patriot Act form.
You are the authorized agent responsible for filling out that form. It gets a little confusing on some of the forms, right? Because it's for the settlement officer, but that falls under your purview. That's your responsibility, is filling out the ID form. So yeah, that authorized person is you.
Okay, because I saw it on a couple of forms, but some of my new to Patriot Act one was one that we got a little leeway with as far as signature. Some of the other ones, could be title forms or lien lender forms.
Right.
All right, thanks.
Yeah, you bet. Great question. Chris Norman, are you ready? Gina Marie, how about you? It looks like you're already unmuted. Let's just go with that.
Yeah, sorry about that. I'm not sure what happened that I wasn't able to unmute. So I have a general notary question. I'm from Arizona, and I know by state law we're not supposed to charge more for mileage other than, 44 or 49 point something cents per mile, and then the $10 for the actual notary. How does the mobile notary charge more? I mean, you can go online and look up businesses, and they charge, like flat rates of obviously more than what's required. How do we go about doing that? I mean, how is that determined? Does my question make sense?
It does. Laura, do you want to take that? You're muted though. I'm sorry. Laura, you still there? Oh.
Yeah, I don't know what they're doing to make that happen. They can be calling it other kinds of fees. I'm not in Arizona, but they might be calling the travel fee is their mileage part, and maybe there's a processing fee or a waiting fee or other kinds of fees that they are creating. I would have to look more deeply into the law. I don't do Arizona myself.
Yeah,
so I don't know
Laura
who's doing it.
Laura, I can answer the Arizona specific question. I just wondered if you could. I wanted to hear your because in a lot of other states you can add additional fees, convenience fees, and things like that.
Okay.
Some states are more strict. Arizona is strict, and what you're seeing there, Gina Marie, is there's a lot of notaries that don't play by the rules. That's the reality. And sometimes it's because they know what the rules are and they don't care. And sometimes it's that they just don't know what the rules are because they haven't read the laws. You know, in Arizona, there's no training required. So if a notary becomes a notary and doesn't read the handbook, they're still good to go. So
Okay.
that's what we run into. So I encourage everybody to always stay in integrity.
Of
The
course.
$10 per notarial act is the max with that mileage fee, but it's round trip on your mileage. And I will also tell you, Gina, that a lot of background.
Yeah, that's not for me.
Sorry. I will offer this to you. In Arizona, I get paid almost as much on general notary appointments as I do on loan signings. Very rarely are any of my GNW appointments less than $100.
Wow.
So it's definitely possible. It's just based on the mileage of where you're going. And, you know, Maricopa County, Pinal County, it's huge.
Okay.
Definitely
right.
possible here.
Got it. Okay. Well, thank you so much.
Yeah, great question. If you ever want to talk business, Gina Marie, since you're here local, just book a call with me. I love it.
Oh, I will. Definitely. Thank you so much.
You bet.
Hey, Bill.
Hey, Jack. Long time no see.
Yeah, well, I was just going to answer that. As far as I know, I'm in North Carolina, and we are, $5 a stamp, and that's all you can do, and
Yeah.
that is true.
That is
But
like the strictest state out there.
yes, but now when I first started this journey, just a little over a year ago, I ran across a few notaries, and I've not done it yet because I don't know if it's legal or not, and I'm still looking into it. But I called the lady in charge of her business, and it's true, a notary cannot charge more than $5, but her company is an LLC, and a business cannot be a notary public. That's an individual. So she does it by the business, the LLC is sending me out, or her out, and then the business can charge any convenience fee they want. And she does say there are two separate charges. There is a notarial charge and there's a separate business charge. And that's how she does it. I've not done it yet, but I am looking into that. And that's how I think they're doing it legal. Now, that's right. I don't know if it's legal, and I am checking that out. But the LLC portion is how she is getting around. I mean, it's her website is right, in front of God and everybody, and the state of North Carolina. And she says specifically, if I go more than 15 miles, it's $25, and so on and so forth. And that's how she does it. But I just thought I'd just throw that out there for the other girl.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you for sharing that. And I'm sure, I know Laura's headed out to North Carolina this month, I think. So I'm sure she'll have some feedback for us.
Absolutely. And North Carolina is the most difficult state. And I've tried to help some people with it. And you know what? The way the law is written, there's just no way to really wiggle around it. And the person that's doing the LLC, I'm not so sure that's the legal way to make it happen. But yeah, I'm going next. I'm leaving next Tuesday, the 18th, for North Carolina. I'll be out there for a week. I'm speaking at the Notary conference out there on the 21st in Clemens, North Carolina. Hope I see somebody there.
Excellent. I know Matt commented and said he has a comment on this. Matt, you want to chime in here?
Sure. So in regards to that practice, it sounds a little shady, but I do happen to know that it would seem that lawmakers are catching up with this because in the state of Louisiana, there's a bill on the floor this year that would stipulate that you cannot pay a public official directly. So therefore, you would have to set up an LLC to pay the LLC, which would then pay you.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing that. Chris Norman, are you ready yet? Can you hear us? For some reason, I can't unmute you, just the way the settings are, the device you're on. So all I see is your hand. I'm sorry, bud. iPhone or ePhone. Would you like to unmute? If you're on an iPhone right now and you raised your hand, it's your turn.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, who's this?
Oh, this is Marcela. I didn't know my name didn't show up. I
Oh, no.
Haven't set it up, I guess.
No worries. How's it going, Marcella? How can we help?
I just want to share a win this weekend. I want to say thank you to all you three, the amazing job that you guys are doing. I first started with Bill. I hope you feel better soon, Bill. I first did your course, and you do say not to take to do our first job, not to take it when they're rushed. And I didn't listen, and I did it, and it went horrible. And I was so traumatized, and I just kept telling myself, this is probably not for me. This is probably not for me. But I just kept going over the course, and I kept going over the whole course. And then I did buy Carol's course. I finished hers. So I did my second, or I would call it my first official one, because it went so well. I was so relaxed. I forgot her daughter's name, but when I called that number and one of her daughters answered, and she calmed me down, and she went reviewed everything on breathe and where you sit, where you park, and everything I already knew, but it was nice to hear it right before. And the signer, the borrower, was so pleasant. It just went so well. It was such a big difference from the first one, traumatized one that I did.
I'm so glad you stuck with it.
Yeah, so my next step is I want to buy Laura's, so that I can learn more about the general notary work, and be more, like you said, it's so important to just keep learning and keep reviewing and keep educating ourselves. I'm very new. I've never done anything. I've been a housewife, and I've dedicated myself to my home and family. So this is also new to me, being out there and dressing in heels. So I just love everything you guys are doing. I want to thank you all three for everything you're doing.
Well, thank you so much for that. I know that means a lot to me, and I'm so glad that this is working out. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Let's see. Oh, is Carol still with us? I'm not sure if she's still here.
Yeah, I am. I muted myself. I think that three of us, we could probably handle everything in this country.
I agree.
I don't know if I want that.
But I'm really happy to hear that my daughters are doing their job.
Yes, tell me her names. There's two, right?
Well, there's Barbara and Lori, both.
I think Lori was the one. I spoke to both, but I think Lori was the one that called me and
she
calmed
does
me down
signing.
right before.
She's excellent at what she does. And Bill and I say the same thing. Never take a last minute signing like that when you're new. Never.
Yes,
They're
yes.
always disaster.
Yes, I wanted to shoot myself right after I came out, because I was like, I knew better, but I just went, I'm like, yeah, I can do this, I can do this. But no, it was traumatizing.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing,
I
Marcella.
heard an interesting thing that happened this week to one of my students. Oh my gosh. She did a signing. She put the package, the documents in the package, got everything all closed up and sent them back. And the title company got them, and they opened it up. There was no documents in it.
Oh, wow.
No documents. They found out later that something had happened, and the envelope had been pretty much destroyed through FedEx, and which is unusual for FedEx. And somebody, I guess, thought it was just as good to close up the envelope and send it empty.
Wow.
Somebody's in trouble at FedEx.
Mm-hmm.
Should we go through the ones that are written, Bill?
Actually, we've got another couple hands up, if that's okay with you. Erin has her
Fine
hand
with
up.
me.
Erin, would you like to unmute and ask your question?
Hello?
Hi.
Oh, you can hear me. Hi, Bill. Hi,
Sure
everyone. So I have something very interesting that happened today. I wanted to confirm with the client prior to tonight's signing, but when I sent the text this morning, I didn't get a reply. So I figured, let me just call, because oftentimes if I think it's a text, I don't know why I do, but I assume a lot of the time, but other times it could actually be a home phone. So I called, and the gentleman answered the phone. Now there will be two people tonight, but I spoke with the male, and Turns out he does not speak so good English. He didn't really understand what I was saying. So then I told him the name of the other person, and I said, "Does she speak English?" And he said yes. And I said, "So tonight, okay?" He said, I'm sorry, I don't know." So I hung up the phone. And for me, that's not confirmation. I didn't confirm the appointment as I would have wanted to. So what I did was I went to the email. I saw his last name, copied and pasted his last name into Google so that I could see around where he was from because I don't know. And I want to better relate to, you know, each client. So I put his last name inside of Google, and his country came up. So it turns out he's from the Ukraine. So I actually went to Google Translate and I typed in what I wanted to say, which was, it took me like 30 minutes to study this in his language so that I was able to call back and say, okay, yada yada. I spoke the whole thing, and he said, "Wait, once again." And I did it again, and he says, "Yes, yes." And I said, "Yes, okay." So to me, I was very excited, but I was told that that is illegal. Is that illegal in any way? I know I am closing with a person that does speak English. I'm sure it wouldn't have even gotten to the title company or this far if it was not okay. Especially, oops.
You're
Oh,
here.
So was that okay? I thought it was okay. I mean, I'm sure the title company would know, okay, they're sending someone English speaking to this appointment. I'm sure it's okay, but I thought what I did was pretty great. So at least I think what happened was I called a number that was on there, but I guess he picked up and she didn't pick up. So what are your thoughts?
Okay, thanks. That's awesome, Aaron. And I know Laura's going to chime in here. I know Carol's going to chime in here, but I just want to give you the MacGyver Award first because that was amazing resourcefulness just for confirmation. Now, confirmations can be made any way that you want. You can communicate anything that you want. The signing's another story that I know Laura and Carol are going to jump in on that. So, Carol, Laura, you want to take that?
I'll
You
just
go
say
ahead,
something
Laura.
quick because then I'm going to have to get started with class. But I just want to say that unless you're in Arizona, it's not okay unless you have direct communication with your signer. And title companies do not always check it out. I cannot tell you how many times I am sent a job and then I make a phone call and it turns out that one of them, they've only been dealing with one spouse and the other one doesn't speak English. And it's not okay for us to be presenting documents to somebody who doesn't know what they're signing, and I can't help them at all. So, not the best thing, but I gotta say, I am so impressed that your resourcefulness is just incredible. And then I'm going to hand it over to Carol.
No, I think that was amazing. What a mind to come up with that. But I know when we were in Arizona, oftentimes my husband and I, because we lived there for 7 years and did signings together, that we would we had a lot of Spanish speaking people in Arizona. And oftentimes the only way that we could get through the signing was to have an 8 or 9-year-old child who was in school and spoke English to help translate the documents. Now I think Arizona even requires that you have a translator. Is that correct, Bill?
We are the only state that allows a translator, yes. And most, like to CYA, like I'd recommend for CYA on these types of signings is to get a translator affidavit notarized. There's a template. If you're in Arizona, this only applies to you if you're in Arizona and you'd like a copy of the translator affidavit, I do have that. Just shoot me an email to orders@notarycoach.com. Happy to send that to you. You can also Google it. They're everywhere. But it just basically says both parties are agreeing. I'm translating. I agree to translate exactly as the notary, that person is saying. And then the person who's being translated for, they acknowledge that they accept a translator.
Thank you so much for everything. Thank you. And at least I can say I know Ukrainian now.
Love it.
Okay,
Thank
we
you.
want to hear. We want to hear it.
No, really.
No.
No. Okay. Maybe
Awesome.
another time. Thank you.
Great job, Erin. Awesome.
Chris Norman.
Chris Norman, are you ready? If you start talking, we should be able to hear you. You're not muted. All right, I'm going to lower your hand. Hopefully we'll catch you next week. All right, we only got about 7 more minutes, guys. If you're sitting back there and you've got a question on your mind, but you've been kind of shy or you've been busy, now's the time. Unmute and ask a question. What was that email? Oh, sorry. orders@notarycoach.com. If you're in Arizona and would like the translator's affidavit. If not, we'll jump in here. We got a couple of lots of great questions actually that have been submitted. So let's share here. We might have time for 1 or 2 of these. Carol, can you see the screen?
I can.
Great. We'll start the slideshow. I'm glad that you're here for this, Carol, because this first question is about Laura Vestinen in her book. So let's see this. All right. I've been reading Notary Marketing 2019, Effective Techniques to Get General Notary Work by Laura Vestinen. She has some great information. One thing I was curious about is she mentions having 2 types of business cards. One for general notary work and one for signing agent work. She shares specific verbiage and lays out suggestions for the general notary card, but not so much the LSA one. Do you and the Thrive Tribe have any thoughts or suggestions on this? Thank you. P.S. She's in Texas. Carol, what are your suggestions for your students on loan signing agent business cards?
Actually, I kind of leave that up to Barbara. She does the websites and she creates the business cards for our graduates. But I believe that what she does too is she does say you need to have verbiage that's different on both cards because you're after a different market. So they're pretty specific. And you're always going to use a lot more of the cards for general notary work. That's where you start going to local businesses and hospitals, banks, barbershops, all of that kind of thing. And those are the ones too that I think it's very important to put magnets on the back of them because people never throw out those magnet cards as we've discussed before. And then the signing agent work is a little bit different, a little bit not more professional, but definitely targets that market specifically. And I sure wish I knew where she was. Laura and I have been really good friends over the years, and she moved and I can't find her. So if anybody knows where she's at, I'd sure like to know.
I'm sure we can track her down. I'm going to chime in here just a little bit too, just to share some perspective since Laura had to get back to teaching. I don't see a need for 2 business cards. But the beautiful thing about this is you can do your business however you want. The reality is if you're a mobile notary and loan signing agent, you could probably put that as your title on your business card and it covers everything. You're a mobile notary and a loan signing agent. And then if you decide to have your USP or a universal selling proposition, like your tagline or your value statement, you could add that on there, keep it super clean, definitely have your website, definitely have your phone number, definitely have your email. And you might have something that's tying into the USP, just something that is kind of your niche. If you're doing the early mornings, if you're doing 24/7, whatever it might be. And I love the magnet idea. That's really true. Those magnets stick around forever. Great question. Also, got some background noise there. Sorry. Somebody got the soaps on in the background? Oops. Okay, whoops. Now I'm going crazy. Also, if one to start their own signing service, how do you hire people to take some signings? The same way SnapDoc does, startup fees, and do we need more E&O question? This is a great question to kind of wrap this up. Carol, do you want to start? Do you give any advice when you want to start a signing company?
Yeah, don't. I have people all the time that get so successful. They love doing what they're doing, and then they get the idea that they want to start a signing service. First of all, there's lots of signing services. You're going to be in hot competition. You better have a lot of capital to back you up, because all it takes is one title company not paying you. That happened to somebody very well-known signing service, been in business for many, many years, and in Texas. And she had, all of a sudden, she wasn't paying people. And they were starting to talk about her, and the forums were, she was 5-star rated company for years. And all of a sudden it started getting worse and worse. And I talked to her about it, found out that one title company in Texas had let her go for $45,000. They were gone. They owed her 45 grand. It cost her business. She's still in business, but she's acting as a real estate agent now, and nobody will go near the signing service. It's terribly difficult to do that in today's world. And if they're really thinking about it, you need to really take a good look at what you're facing to get into that business, because it's going to cost you a lot of money and takes a long time to build up a good, stable of good signing agents.
Awesome. There's, and that's all major, serious considerations. Great feedback from Carol, because there's huge risks involved with any business, but whenever you've got people counting on you, it really does change things. On a practical level, yeah, SnapDocs is open and available to just about anybody who wants to be a signing company. There's other platforms available to do that too, that is less expensive and I think probably more favored by other notaries. And then startup fees, that's really dependent. I can't get into that too much. It's relatively inexpensive. And yes, you do need more E&O insurance. That could be anywhere from $500,000 to $5 million, depending on your clients. We don't have courses on how to start a signing service necessarily, but if starting a signing company is part of the vision for the imprint or the legacy that you want to leave in the world, then by all means, take it and go. And if you ever want to talk about it, just book a call with me. Notarycoach.com in the upper right-hand corner. I love talking this type of business, and I'll be straight with you because I have a signing service. So I'll tell you my pitfalls, and I'll tell you the huge, expensive mistakes I've made and some of the cool things that have happened as well. Happy to share it with you guys. Carol, we are at time. Would you like to say goodbye to everybody?
Goodbye, everybody. I hope you're feeling better, Bill.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. All right, guys. Thank you for growing yourself on a Tuesday, yourself and your business on a Tuesday. And Carol, thank you so much for your time. Laura, thank you for your time, even though you're out teaching. You guys have a great day.
Goodbye, you guys. Have a great day. Sorry you're sick, Bill.
Thanks, Sue. Thanks, everyone. Really appreciate you.
Bye-bye.